Good morning, everyone. I'm Lauren Conlin. Welcome to Pop Crime TV / The Outlier. One of my favorite returning guests is here, Jack Fox. Welcome. Good afternoon, sir.
Good morning, Lauren. How are you?
I'm doing great. So, as I mentioned to you offline, there was a lot of requests for you when almost a week ago today, last Friday, the case against Alec Baldwin, his involuntary manslaughter case, was dismissed.
Came crumbling down, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. How's everyone doing today? I know Sheila's here. I'm so happy. She thought she couldn't make it, but she's here. And oh, you guys, I want to announce that you now can become a member of my channel. I have 3 members, including myself. And listen, don't make fun of me. I did it to test it. So Dizzy was helping me figure all of this out because I obviously have been very vocal about not knowing what I'm doing. And Dizzy's like, try this, try that. And I was like, boom, just paid myself money. This is awesome. So
But all those little cuts that come off it, I've done that before, and it's like, oh, there's a banking fees. Oh, they've taken their slice. I thought I was
yeah,
paying myself money,
exactly.
but someone else has had some.
No, yeah, well, and I also made my husband sign up, so whatever, it happens. But what I'm gonna do is I'm figuring out all the perks, but what I would like to do also is take requests for members and take requests of who you'd like to see interviewed. Obviously, Jack is a perma fixture here, hopefully, if he'll have me. But yeah, and private interviews, and I do have a Rolodex of random celebrities as well. Hopefully you like them, and I can have them come join me here for private things. And yeah, so I agree, Rachel. Dizzy is a mastermind. I don't know what I would do without her. She was amazing. Like, yeah.
Does Dizzy never sleep? I always see Dizzy on the socials and in the YouTube chats and so on. Like, wow.
Yeah, no, she's amazing. She's amazing. And I also just want to point out one other thing. I got these. So I bought these Chanel buttons at this thrift store, and I'm just really proud of myself because I turned the buttons into earrings. Don't they look so good and so expensive? I'm like so proud of myself. I'm like, they don't look as good on camera, but whatever. I'm proud. Yeah. Anyway, Jack, how are you doing on this Thursday?
I am doing good, thank you. Summer has hit England. It's actually warm today, for a
Ooh.
change. So yeah, we've had a really wet, rainy summer so far. So schools are breaking up in England soon. So hopefully the kids are going to get a nice break.
Oh, school's still going on? You
Yeah,
lucky duck. You
the-
lucky duck. Like,
it's all different. I was talking about this with someone last night and saying like the American
yeah.
schools are about to go back and ours still haven't broken up yet.
I can't believe that. Yeah, it's so true. In certain states, kids go back in August, which I think is actually cruel. But whatever. So, okay, want to get into this. I don't necessarily want to call it Ocampo Johnson versus Morrissey, but I'm going to call it that. Jack, what was your first thought before? I know we're technically going to start with Ocampo Johnson, but I do want to just get really quick. What was your first thought when you saw Morrissey take the stand during Cross?
So we spoke about this last week, and I said she had a manner about her, and it was a very commanding manner, and it was very forthright, which does not necessarily mean she's lying or a bad person or anything like that. But immediately I thought, especially on Cross, she became very antagonistic. Almost, it wasn't quite "Rrr, what you're saying, but it was as if she had a bat and she wanted to slug away all the questions that she was being asked. And she kept that commanding language going as well.
Yeah, definitely. She did, didn't she? That was a good assessment. So, okay, we're going to start with Erlinda Ocampo Johnson because she does seem to be the more simple of the two, I guess. She recused herself from the case. And then it was almost when she was doing these interviews, it was like, wow, she really wants to get her name out there and clear it because she wants absolutely no association with this whatsoever.
Yeah.
Dark Side of the Moon, welcome.
Hey.
Glad to have you here. So really quick, I'm just going to play a little part of her Cuomo interview because this is what Jack broke down statement-wise. So let me just share my screen. All right, I'm going to make this big, just about a minute or so.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I left because I learned about this evidence when the public learned about it yesterday, late afternoon. As I don't know if you're aware, I actually came on this case kind of late in the game. I came on the case towards the end of April. So I had to get up to speed. I was not involved in the Hannah Gutierrez case at all. And so I was not aware that this individual had taken this ammunition to the sheriff's department and provided it to the officers. I learned all of that yesterday when Mr. Spiro was cross-examining the crime scene technician. So I inquired some more. And this morning, when the motion hearing began, my position was during the lunch hour, before the lunch hour, during the lunch hour, we have an obligation as prosecutors. We have an obligation not only to the people, but to the defendant. Mm-hmm. And our obligation is to make sure that all the evidence is turned over. We don't get to decide what the defense is going to be. Our job is to ensure transparency and to ensure that the defendant has everything that the prosecution has gathered.
Okay, I'm going to stop really quick. I just want to go back to what he asked her when she said absolutely not. Sorry about that. I cut that off. But really quick, what he asked.
Said, you left the team because you didn't like that this Brady hearing was public.
Absolutely.
Okay, so there you go. You saw that. All right, let me just move that. Okay. So we talk about this. I'm going to call you out on your own. The absolutely not. You don't like that, do you?
No. Look, when someone says absolutely, it's not an indication that they are telling a lie or that they are hiding something. But we have to ask the question of why are they adding absolutely? You know, the allegation was put to her there. You left the team because you didn't like this Brady hearing. You didn't like that this Brady hearing was public. She could have said, no, that's not true. Instead, she went super no with absolutely not. Now, we just have to ask, why is that we can't read her mind? Mm-hmm. But is it that she really wants to get across that this is not true in the slightest, so she feels like she has to turn the severity up, turn it up to 11? Or is there actually some truth in that? And I think there could be some truth in that, which I will come to later on, because she says something else that makes me think she wasn't happy, most of all, that this was all happening in public. So while I don't think she's necessarily lying there, I think it was very important for her to get across that wasn't the truth. So when someone says absolutely not, it's not you are lying. It's just, let's look at why they're saying that. Why don't they just say no? Yeah, thanks, Taryn. Yeah, every time someone says absolutely,
I do too. But I think it says a lot when you acknowledge the fact that sometimes you're just so fed up with these lies being perpetuated that you're like, God, no, absolutely. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I guess that could also be part of it. And one other thing I just want to point out, because I know that it's not easy, live TV, you can't always think as fast on your feet. And you acknowledge that too. This is live TV. You don't know the questions they're going to ask you. And that's so frustrating. So you're just like, what's he going to ask me? Am I going to be prepared for this? I don't know. And then there you go. But please go on.
No, context is everything. And what I would say is just when you hear an absolutely, ask the question. Just ask the question. Why aren't they just saying it plainly and simply?
Okay.
No. Yeah. What's important to them that they have to turn the severity up on that? Now, what then gets quite interesting is she goes on to talk, and she doesn't really get into the specifics of this Rust case. She talks in general about what prosecutors are supposed to do, the standards they're supposed to uphold, and the way they're supposed to behave. And she does talk about, this was my position before lunch, after lunch, but she doesn't get into the nitty gritty and say, my position was that in this case, things had been done really badly. I couldn't be any part of that. And so I asked to be taken off. She talks in very general terms about it. So for whatever reason, she doesn't want to go into the specifics around this case. Again, we ask why, and there's many reasons why that could be. Maybe there was a clash of personalities. Maybe she's had this nagging doubt at the back of her mind for a while, or maybe because this is a very public case, What's very important to her right now is perception, her image management, how she's seen, and she wants to make sure that not only, but she's separated from the prosecution by leaving the case, but does she want to make sure that she gets across the type of person that she is, so that while she may suffer some damage for being part of this team, her overall reputation, what she stands for, what she believes, she wants to get that across. And so that maybe is why she's talking in generals. Look, it's the first answer. This first answers are great, right? Because if she's booked to go on national TV and she's like, right, what I want to really get across is something, her top priority. So she's asked a question, which is really a yes or no question. Did you leave because the hearing was going to be public? That can be said yes or no. She's gone extra and given more. And that will reveal to us what her priorities are. What story is it that she wants to tell? When I say story, I don't mean falseness. I just mean what is the narrative that she wants to set. And I think for her, that very much was, I am an ethical prosecutor. I believe in the ethics and standards that I'm talking about here.
Yeah. Do you think also it's because, she was nervous of the fallout of this, and she seems like a good person, and she seems ethical and genuine. And I think there was, I think Hannah Gutierrez-Reed's lawyer filed some kind of motion yesterday. And I think this is what they were afraid of. And this is possibly why she didn't want to go too far, because that chick's guilty and she doesn't want to mess anything up right there. Right. I mean, it
could be that. I think, again, how many trials do we watch? Very few in terms of a percentage of all the trials that happen. So if you're an attorney like she is, and this is happening on TV with a Hollywood A-lister there, with it being streamed live on several channels, you must feel woof. If you screw up but no one's really watching it or paying any attention, you might feel bad about it, but you go to do better next time. But when all the public attention is on you, you want to manage a narrative. I would believe. I think that's what's happening with her there. She does go on to talk later on in this, and I think I have to say, through all of that interview, I think that her priority is she's talking in general about what lawyers should be doing.
The weeds, right?
Yeah, I think that is what that's really what she's all about. I don't get any sense that she's lying or hiding something, but she does go on to talk about what happened in the afternoon with Morrissey on the stand as a circus. She said that circus this afternoon. So I think, again, that's a nice descriptive word of something that we don't want to be part of. While I don't think that she quit because it was public, I think that she quit because the public would see it, if that makes sense. Like, she just did not. I'm not saying she doesn't have ethics and standards at all. What I am saying is that I think the fact this was so public is very sensitive to her, and I can understand that.
Yeah, and I think that the fact that she didn't say shit show, I give her a lot of credit. But really quick, just going back to the absolutely, I do want to point this out. So yeah, we do say a lot of words as Americans, I guess. You're right. We say it's amazing. I do say that. It's amazing. There are certain words. Absolutely. We do say that as a filler, I guess. So I don't know.
No, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm not buying that one, right? There is just I did a sort of jokey tweet today. Joe Biden tweeted last night, "I'm sick." 2 words, right? I'm sick. I think there was a joke that went around it, or whatever it was, right? But it was just a tweet, the 2 words, "I'm sick," right? Actually, that's a very truthful sentence. It takes ownership and says, "I'm." He says what time it is, so I am. So it's about now, and he says what the problem is. I'm sick, right? So that jokingly, but it's an indication of truth, is when something is so simple. When you add words in, like, so if he'd said, "I'm amazingly sick," right? That's not because it's culture in America to say amazing a lot. That's because there would be a need to provide to persuade how sick. Sick. Watch it. If you manage people in an office, watch for someone phoning up to say they can't come into work today. If someone's honest, they'll go, "I'm not feeling very well. I've got a cold. I haven't slept. I need to get some rest." Right? Dead simple, straightforward. Right? But we all know the phoning in voice and the, "Oh, I feel absolutely terrible. Yeah,
Yeah,
oh, I
yeah.
just haven't slept at all
Yeah.
night long. I've got an amazing thumping headache,
You're like,
and the more they add,
yeah.
there's that need to persuade, which doesn't always mean deception, but it means there's a need to persuade. And why is that? So truthful people tend to just tell the truth in a very straightforward way.
And not to get too off track here, but just one more thing. Joe Biden responded to a reporter last night asking about his mental state, whatever. And his response was someone, I don't know, they accused him of having dementia. Oh, shocker. And he said, "You're dead wrong." Just what? You're dead
Right.
wrong? That's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. Like, what? Who says that? That's
You
from a
can
movie.
either
You're dead
you could be
wrong.
you could be right or you can be wrong. If you add dead before it,
Yeah.
that's a need to persuade. Yeah, you're wrong.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
dead wrong.
Mhm.
And again, I'm not saying it's a lie. What I am saying is it's a real significant need to persuade of what is going on there.
Yeah, definitely. And Tommy, you're right. I last night Sheila's like, "Oh, I can't make it." And I'm like, "We'll miss you." Just like WILL. And then I was like, "That doesn't mean anything. That is horrible." And I was like, Jack's going to be so upset with me for not owning that and saying, "I will miss you, Sheila. I will miss you." So, yeah, we all call ourselves out now too. It's just it
But look,
is. You've taught
Tommy's
us.
message there was very truthful. He took responsibility with pronouns I. I'm afraid to type. It's not I'm very afraid to type or I'm totally afraid to type or here and be told I'm being deceptive. That's a very truthful message. Although he did type there, so he's not being entirely truthful.
Well, Tommy, I think you passed Jack's test, so congratulations. Is there anything else that really sticks out? Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Tommy. You're amazing. I so appreciate you.
He's
You
typed
rock.
again.
Yes, he is. He's the best. Thank you. You're awesome. But Jack, can you just give us anything else that you observed about Ocampo Johnson throughout? It can be, the trial, it can be this interview, but I was impressed with the way she handled the interviews overall.
Yes, she never once ducked a question, for real. She did have a narrative that she wanted to tell, and her language was
Yeah.
basically very simple. Like we've been talking about adding extra words in or persuasive words in, and her language was generally very simple when she was dealing with that. And also, she can say Hannah Gutierrez way better than I can because of the Spanish inflections. It sounded beautiful.
Yes. Yes. No, definitely. Definitely. Oh, did somebody said the audio is breaking up? I'm fine. I don't know if
I'm fine as well. I can hear you absolutely
yeah,
fine if you can hear me.
I can hear you. But I've been known to have tech issues, so I'm not super shocked. But but okay. So overall, your assessment is that she's truthful, she takes ownership. Yeah, nothing
Yeah.
crazy.
No, nothing at all in there that makes me go, "Oh, you big liar." No, you're just spinning stuff left, right, and center.
Yeah. Okay. So you know what? Let's go to the cross-examination of Kari Morrissey. I'm gonna pull part of that up right now. Let's see. It always makes me it does, it makes me nervous. Let me see. Hold on. I got the best part, the sea sucker part. I'm not gonna say it, okay? I feel like I curse, but that one is just nasty. That makes
That's
me
far.
feel
That's
gross,
far.
right? There's certain words like scrotum. It's gross. I don't like that word. Sorry, TMI, but okay, let's see.
This matter is you don't like Mr. Baldwin very much, do you?
That is absolutely untrue.
Absolutely.
I actually really appreciate Mr. Baldwin's movies. I really appreciated the acting that he did on Saturday Night Live, and I really appreciate his politics.
You told one of the witnesses who disagreed with you during an interview that you thought Mr. Baldwin was a cocksucker.
I do not recall saying that. I know that that was something that Mr. Baldwin would say on the set of Rust.
Yeah.
I don't recall saying that.
Do you deny that under oath?
Without having more information, I can tell you that I do not recall ever saying that. And if I did say it, I invite you to point it out to me.
You called him an arrogant prick to another witness.
To who? To what witness?
I'm asking you, did you call him an arrogant prick during a witness interview?
I don't believe I did. I don't recall.
Do you deny that?
Without knowing what you're talking about, all I can tell you is that I can't respond if I don't know what you're talking about.
And you said also to witnesses that you would teach him a lesson.
I never said to witnesses that I would teach him a lesson. Absolutely not. In fact, Mr. Spiro, I want to give a full response to your question. I made every effort in this case to resolve this case with your client in a very favorable way for him.
All right, I'm going to move to strike this. It's not responsive.
It is
Well, I don't want
responsive.
to talk about pre-negotiations.
Yeah, and it's not responsive. So I have no further
All right,
questions.
do you have any follow-up testimony? All right,
I want to say I have no recollection of calling him any of those names. I have invited the defendant to tell me what he's talking about, and he has declined. I want the court to take notice of that.
thank you.
Okay,
You
I'll
may
stop
step down.
that right there. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Indeed.
Yeah, wow. That was rough. And we are lays over here, okay? I mean, that was rough. And Meg, you're absolutely right. Before she denied it without denying it. That was incredible to me. That was one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. A lawyer spin something, sitting on the stand as a witness. I mean, crazy. But please, let's break it down.
Oh, let's go to the very beginning there. The truth of this matter is that you don't like Mr. Baldwin very much, do you? And she starts off with, right? So it's a question with yes or no as an answer. And when she goes, now sometimes you were talking about cultural differences.
Yeah.
Some people can say, a lot, they'll talk away and they'll go, and that's just what people say. But when someone starts an answer with, this is like, I'm going to give you I've got some status in this answer here. I'm going to tell you the answer that I want to give you, not necessarily the one that you have asked. It's like starting an answer with, well, or so. The thing is, so is there. And she uses the favorite word. She says that's absolutely untrue. So
we all caught that. We were all like, yeah.
She could say that's untrue. But she wants to ramp that severity up and say, not just is it untrue, it's absolutely untrue. Now, there is nothing more than untrue, so there is no severity there. It's just this extra words. And then she says, I actually really appreciate Mr. Baldwin's movies. So actually, by the way, this is facts. And, this is like I'm going to tell you how things are. Really appreciate them, not just appreciate them. And I really appreciate the acting he did on Saturday Night Live. So we've got this really again, a need to persuade. And I really appreciate his politics. By the way, movies, likes, acting on Saturday Night Live, likes, politics, likes, did not mention what she thought of Mr. Baldwin as a whole, which is what the question was. You don't like Mr. Baldwin very much, do you? I like Mr. Baldwin. I don't like Mr. Baldwin. I have no opinion of Mr. Baldwin. No, she didn't. She dodged the question and went on to liking his movies, his acting, and his politics as well. So look, lying is hard. Lying in court is a no-no. You can't lie in court. So what we will find with testimony a hell of a lot is that someone will take the question and not answer it. They'll give a truthful answer. So, maybe she does like his movies. I've seen some of his movies. They're great. Maybe she does like him on Saturday Night Live. Maybe she does agree with his politics just in general, like she's on the same side as he is.
Yeah.
So she's actually being truthful there. The biggest way people deceive us and just get round us is not by lying, but it's by telling the truth. It's just a very different truth from the one that we're looking to get. And that's what she's doing, but she's got all the flags there, starting with, you know, I'm going to tell you something that you don't want to hear. I'm going to tell you what I want to tell you. Talking about really appreciated. I want to persuade you that I like this guy a lot. So that's what went there. Then as for the next bit, what I'm going to do, I'm going to jump the C word one that you don't like, and I'm going to go to the arrogant prick one. Because Lauren, have you, I could be making a rod for my own back here. Have you ever called me an arrogant prick?
No.
Right? Okay. One word answer.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
One word answer. Right? No. Right?
Right.
What? And I guess you went through a kind of thought process there of either that's not language I would use, or I'd never say that about Jack, or you know.
Well, I wouldn't know what you were going to ask me, so I was processing that, and I was like, "No, I have not."
See,
yeah.
So you've just gone, boom. There's your truthful answer. No, you've never done that. Why can't she do that?
Yeah. Thanks,
Why?
Tommy. No.
Why can't she go? No. Why does she have to be very qualified and say, I don't believe I did. I don't recall. Therefore, she's bringing it into the possibility that she may have, right? Because the possibility never entered your head that you could have called me an arrogant prick, right? Because either you don't think it, it's not language you use, we don't interact enough for you to know whether I'm arrogant or humble or anything like that. Right. So it just didn't enter into your head. But for her to say, oh, I don't recall, I don't believe I did, it's entered into her head that she, at the very least, she could have said it. And for her to phrase it like, I don't believe I did, means that I think she highly thinks it's likely that she did say it, or she knows she did say it. And she does this quite a lot, is she talks about, and again, lying in court is bad. I guess, I mean, if you're an attorney on the stand, lying in court is a complete no.
Right.
But it's very hard to prove a belief is false. You know, so even if someone came up with a tape of her saying that, she could say, oh, I didn't lie. I said, I don't believe I did because I didn't remember, you know, saying that. That's, you know, something that happened a long time ago. It must have been a slip of the tongue. I didn't even realize at the time I said it. So what I said in court was, I don't believe I said it. So I told the truth on the stand. I didn't believe I said it because what I said, what I didn't say on the stand was, no, I've never said that about the guy ever. Right. So she does that as well when she's talking about Erlinda and why Erlinda quit. She talks in terms of what her belief is rather than what she's been told or how the situation.
The one outside the courthouse, right? When she does that. So I think that what I interpreted her answer with, I don't believe so, I don't recall. Well, she's been working on this case for years now. And, you know, Taryn said this, he does come off as an arrogant prick. That seems to be a lot of people's public opinion about him. So are you kidding me? Of course, she most likely said that he was an arrogant prick to someone, if not multiple people, possibly not the witness that he spoke of, but most likely she did. So she's probably thinking in her head, God, how many times did I say that? And who did I say that to? So of course she's like, I don't believe so. That's how I took it. I'm like, bitch, you know you said it. It's been like so long. Like it's been years and everybody thinks that he is. Not everybody, sorry. That's crowdsourcing, Jack. I'm very sorry. But you know what I'm saying. Like many people believe that. So
yeah, and he's asked if you deny that. I think he says under oath, and she says, without knowing what you're talking about, all I can tell you is I can't respond. Now, you do know what he's talking about because he's just said, did you call him an arrogant prick? Yeah. So, you know, again, this is just dodging away from the situation, but it's deceiving through the truth, you know, or at least her veneer of truth. It's not telling outright lies, which is a bad thing to do. It's a stressful thing to do. And certainly in this situation could cost her her job. Even if 5 people stand up and say, I heard you say that, then, you know, she's out there. So she's sidestepping that. And, you know, I don't know. I don't know the morals of it, but maybe the better thing to do would be it's possible.
And that, you know what? Do you think she would have gained a bit more respect and people weigh in because, or is that just so horrible that a prosecutor would say that about their defendant? Or like, are we really going to pretend that prosecutors don't talk about certain defendants that way? I mean, I would think more of like a, child's killer, child molester, whatever, or woman killer that you would talk about like that, not necessarily an actor who we all agree it was an accident. So it's kind of like, that's interesting that you would speak like that.
Yeah, I guess, I'm not an expert in the legal field, but I guess she is protecting herself from lawsuits, because if she actually did come on the stand and say, yes, I did call him an arrogant prick, are they then going to chase her or the state for sort of wrongful arrests or malicious prosecutions, or
but not saying
anything
I
like that?
did, but just saying it's possible.
Yeah.
I talked to a lot of people. Or is that, I don't know.
I don't know. Look, I could think of many. For me, the truth is the best way out, even if you sort of justify that truth. We spoke about this about Michael Proctor in the Karen Reid stand, where he didn't once say, I was talking in a disgusting way about this woman because she killed a policeman, and I felt it very, very personally. He just went, "Oh, it was regrettable." Maybe her truth could have been, yeah, I said that. I shouldn't have said it. Or I did, but I was trying to build a rapport with the person I was talking to, and I could tell they had some ill feeling towards Alec Baldwin. So that's why I did it. Maybe I shouldn't. It would be gone by then. Do you know what I mean? Like it really would be over.
No, I agree. And Tommy, I tend to agree with you on this. She did show her true colors. If she'll be deceptive under oath, she'll withhold evidence and do anything to win. And yeah, I've been talking about this a lot on a few different lives. It's very terrifying to think about prosecutors doing this. It makes me nervous as a citizen, and Alec Baldwin is a celebrity, and maybe you could take that the other way because he's a celebrity. She wanted this conviction more. And you can spin it however you want legally as a prosecutor. You can say all the right things, but in my opinion, it's very easy to see what happened there. And that was horrible.
Yeah. I detected in some other of her cross-examination a kind of arrogance, which was, I shall decide what the evidence is that gets turned over. I just decided this was just not good enough for the defense wouldn't want to get hold of this.
And while you're go on, I just want to play the clip of her outside the courthouse really quick.
Go for it.
Just because I thought it was pretty interesting because she did generalize this. Kari Morrissey. Let's see. All right. All right, I will. And by the way, I know how to do this. Somebody commented about sharing the screen. I only know how to do this because Tommy told me in the comments one time when I was live. I was like, how do I do it? He's like, God, you need help. I'm like, no, literally lots of help. Okay, let's see.
He's with me, and I respect the court's decision. There is absolutely no evidence that any of that ammunition is related to the incident involving Ms. Hutchins.
So the judge is wrong?
No, I said that I respect the court's decision. I think that people can disagree. I'm disappointed because I believe that the importance of the evidence was misconstrued by the defense attorneys, but I have to respect the court's decision.
Do you feel you let the Hutchins family down?
Do you regret not turning over the ammunition?
Well, I didn't know that the ammunition that became the subject of today's hearing existed.
You still believe Mr. Baldwin was guilty?
That has never been a decision for me. That has always been a decision for the jury.
Did you let the Hutchins family down?
No, we didn't. We did everything humanly possible to bring justice to Helena and to her family, and we're proud of the work that we did. Again, we disagree with the court's decision, but we have to respect it.
So where do you go from here? Where do you go from here?
Yeah. Well, a lot of we's there, right?
A lot of ways, a lot of we have to respect it. Not, I think she did start off by saying, I respect the court's decision, but then she moved into saying, have to respect it, which is, it's beholden on me. I have to. I can't. There's no other two ways about it. It's not my choice to respect it. I have to respect it. Interestingly, as well, Erlinda was asked in the interview a little bit more about what she thought about Baldwin's guilt, and I can't remember exactly what she said, but she didn't jump away from it. Like Morrissey did there, and go, it's not for me to decide. That was for the jury. She said that I think Erlinda's view was like, I think it was, she thought it was right that he was on trial for there. So she wasn't having a view on guilt or innocence, but she thought there was enough evidence there that Alec Baldwin should be on trial for the involuntary manslaughter charge, whereas Morrissey just jumped out of the way of the question and went, it's not for me to decide.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people would argue that it's the process that's also a punishment. I mean, everything leading up to this day for Alec Baldwin, his court date and being on trial, you know, and facing almost 2 years in prison for this accident where, you know, I've been vocal about this. I don't necessarily think he should have been on trial. You know, they settled with Helena's family through a civil suit. And I personally think it should have been Dave Halls, the assistant director, and Hannah Reid, obviously. But, you know, we don't have to go down that rabbit hole. But that's interesting. She did, or I didn't see that. Erlinda did think that was appropriate. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I think as well that, and everything I've looked at around this, and I mentioned this last week because the crime scene investigator had given her evidence by the time we spoke last week.
Right.
I do think there is something very strange and being hidden about this ammunition evidence. Whether that is that it was deliberately withheld because this is not evidence we want anyone to see, or whether they've cocked up and are trying to cover up messing up here. I don't know, but, you know, from the investigator's testimony in court, I was watching it going, she is hiding something big time here. She's not answering the questions. She's blaming her boss for her actions. The investigator and also Morrissey kept talking about the case number. And I know this evidence was filed under a different case number, hence why it was never uploaded and so on. But the fact they kept referring to case numbers made me think, is this a known dodge? If something comes along that's a little bit inconvenient or you don't want it to be dealt with, you sweep it away by putting in a different case number, either accidentally, oops, typo, or you know, some procedural sort of, well, we're not entirely sure which case it was, you know, so we decided to assign it its own case, and yeah, we never, then when we uploaded all the evidence for that case, that didn't get uploaded because it's got a slightly different number. But they really did talk about the case. I mentioned case number a lot, and it just made me wonder, why are they doing that? The investigator, when she was under testimony, brought it up when she was being extra in a question, and when people are extra, when they bring up things that are not mentioned, it's very important for them to get it out there because it's somewhere top of mind in their head. So I wondered about that. I do think there was something very wrong going on there.
Yeah. And what do you think of the word well? It's still a filler word, like, you know, well, but then she goes on to say, I think this. She owned it, but is the well just like, I'm thinking of what to say?
It can be, but it's more a bit of a signal. If you ask me what I had for breakfast this morning, you're expecting an item of food. And if I go, well, that I'm indicating I'm not really going to answer your question, or I'm going to go a long way around to answer your question. So, well, I don't normally have any breakfast in the morning. I kind of skip breakfast. I might have like a milky coffee, which tends to fill me up. But this morning, well, I was just starving. And so I had some waffles and, you know, that. So, well, is a signal. It's a signal that what is coming is not what you expect. In terms of a very short, pithy answer to a question. It can be, again, that sort of, let me just say something while I get my act together. But when I asked you earlier, have you ever called me an arrogant prick? You didn't go, well, no. You went, no. The answer that came bang out. I'm thinking about my answer. The question's sensitive. I want to be careful how I word it.
Yeah. And just everybody in the chat saying that you know, you learn so much from Jack. It is so true. I mean, I just want to point this out. My friend and her husband, they got in a fight, and she was telling me, you know, what happened and the things he said that were just horrible. And, you know, the next morning she said that he said his answer, like his apology, I guess, was something like that, like, last night was horrible. Those were horrible things to say. And I was like, he's not sorry. I was just like, sorry. He's literally not sorry. Like, because you pointed this out to me, Jack, where it's like, if you're gonna own this, I said horrible things and I'm so sorry. He's like, that was terrible. Those were horrible things to say. Like, what?
Yeah.
Oh, Dizzy, welcome. Dizzy, you missed all the amazing things that we said about you. We didn't think that you slept. So this is
Yes.
really helpful for all of us to know that you do sleep. So
Yeah.
But
Ironically, Dizzy missed the discussion about did Dizzy ever
Yes.
sleep, because Dizzy was sleeping.
That's so funny. But no, just going back to that, that was my point. Jack has made me pretty much overanalyze. I shouldn't say overanalyze, but you know, like my own husband's like, okay, relax over there. Like, you don't need to. And I'm like, no, you're just mad because I'm gonna call you out all the time. So
It's you know, that's one of the reasons why I do this, right? So pointing out lies in court is all quite fun, but I do think that the world would be a richer place if we all just had a little bit more education or skills to read what people are saying to us, and probably vice versa around, and not be so lazy with our own words as well, because all these things, even if your friend didn't pick up from your training and knowing that there was no pronoun in there, they're not going to be satisfied with this half-assed thing. Intuitively, they're going to go, that's not quite what I wanted to hear. So if you do screw up, you'll be in a much better place if you are genuinely sorry, rather than going, sorry for that. Go, I'm sorry that I said those things last night. I shouldn't have done them. They were horrible. And it will just land a hell of a lot better with someone, and you will just have better relationships by knowing how to communicate. Not because you still mean it, but sometimes we're very bad at getting across the words that we want to say, or we're a bit shy or unconfident of saying them. Just say them. Just say the truth and say it, own it, and you will impact, your words will impact on people a lot better. But also, you'll be able to see the people who aren't sorry. You'll be able to see the people who don't answer the question that you ask. Kids are brilliant for that one. You know, like why we late home from school today? Jack forgot his boots. Well, that doesn't quite answer the question, does it? You know, like you're hiding something there.
No, no, exactly. And it's funny because now the way I write emails to is different. And my husband, he was arguing with me the other day because he was like, how does this sound as a follow-up? And he wrote, it was, you know, it was a sales follow-up or something. And he was talking about his team, and he wrote, we're excited. But the client had said, you know, we're really excited to work with you, Matt, And I said, you know, say that you are excited. Don't say we the whole time. Say you. And he's like, in business, it's always we. We're a team. I'm like, shut up. You know, and I'm like, you can say it once. You know what I mean? Like, you can say it. Oh, that's so funny. I'd be willing to bet Lauren Spicy. Was it with the middle finger that told you that? No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I was like, okay, fine. I get that. The we, but right. You have to say I if somebody is speaking to you directly with other people on the email, right?
Yeah. You're right. Interestingly, there are some academic studies that say that women use personal pronouns like I, me, and my way more than men do. And that is, I think we can make generalizations about the sexes here. But women are interested in in people. Men are interested more generally in things. So women will use this personal language style a lot more. Men are more interested in concepts and ideas and constructions and so on, and so they use much less pronouns when they talk. Not probably, but you know, women do have, in general, again, better relationships, wider groups of friends. Men are less close to people, again, in general, and that comes out in the language that they use.
Okay, so I want to just switch gears for a minute because I texted Jack over the weekend. I bother him all the time, this poor guy. Like I think he's a machine or something. But nobody probably paid attention to this because why would you? It's silly, but you know I'm pop crime, so I am pop culture crime. But Amber Portwood, who's one of the original teen moms, I'm aging myself a little bit. One of the original teen moms, her new fiance went missing. He's now been found. But if you recall, Amber Portwood was known for pretty much abusing her baby daddy, who was, I guess, her fiance at the time, whatever. It was bad. It was very bad to watch this on Teen Mom. He was horrible. So her current fiance, fast forward to 2024, they had just gone to a wedding together, and then he disappeared. So Amber broke her silence on some YouTube interview, and I want to read it to you. And I just want Jack to comment because I had some questions about why certain things aren't necessarily great. So Amber said, "I am not what people have been saying about me all of these years. I changed a long time ago." Okay, you have to understand this. Please listen to what I'm saying. I am an honest person, you guys. We have not had explosive fights. We are very in love. This man asked me to be with him. This man then asked me to marry him. And then she said, he left his phone. And after that is when they saw him at the Walgreens on camera. We didn't have an explosive argument. We did have a discussion. Nobody was heated. Please, if anybody sees him or hears anything, please, I am begging all of you guys, please don't think the worst right now. I am trying to be as positive as possible. So, I mean, what's wrong with that? I guess I didn't necessarily see what was wrong with that. And as a lay, but also as someone who knows a little bit more because of you. And, I mean, what's so bad?
She tells us everything she's not. She doesn't tell us what she is, which shows where her focus is. So when she says, I'm not what people have been saying about me all of those years, I changed a long time ago. She doesn't tell us what she's changed into at all. But also, if you notice, there's just a really strange concept here, okay? I'm not what people have been saying about me all of those years. I changed a long time ago. So she's taking no ownership of the person from all of these years ago. It's only what people were saying about her all these years ago. But then she says, I've changed. So is she admitting there that what people were saying about her is correct? What she changed to, she doesn't even say what she's changed from, what she's changed to. Just what's important to her is potentially, please give me a break here. Please listen to me. Forget all the bad stuff. Kind of like the Erlinda is controlling a narrative. It's making sure there's a story that's set out there. But when someone tells you what they're not, that's where their focus is. So if someone says, I'm not angry, they might not be angry, but their focus is on anger. So potentially deep down there is rage, but they're trying to remain calm and clear about it. What else did she say? When she says, I'm honest to you guys. Why do they need to tell us that? Why do they need to tell us that?
You guys. So can I just ask you, if she were to have said, Jack, I was a horrible, immature person all those years ago, I'm not now, would that be better?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because she's saying what she was and taking ownership of it and telling you, I think you used the word better there. I'm not now, I'm a better. Oh, no, you asked if that was better. Sorry, but I'm not now. It would be better. She doesn't quite, in your example there, tell us exactly what she is now, but at least she's saying what she's moved from, away from, which is being a horrible person.
You're so good. I didn't even pick up that what people have been saying about me all of these years. We saw it, okay? It's like, we saw you. You acted a fool. We literally watched you. But anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, I just find that it was really, really interesting. What else did she say? We haven't had explosive fights. Was again, I mean, what is one less than explosive fights? Because we haven't had explosive fights just means there's something up there that didn't happen. But is it firework fights or like something like that? Like that are not quite boom but are bang. But again. look at the room that exists in. If you one of the things that we do when we're looking at statement analysis is believe that everything is true, but actually go, what does it mean? So I believe in her definition, they haven't had explosive fights, but that leaves room for all sorts of fights, from violent ones, silent ones, physical ones, verbal ones. But for some reason, she wants to tell us that there have been no fights. So there have been fights. I think that's pretty much, where her focus is on the fights. And so that she just left the door wide open for all sorts of things being possible there.
You are so right, because anybody that knows Amber Portwood knows that she is known for these explosive fights that were just physical. They were horrible, absolutely horrible. And so that, you make a really good point. And Ashley, yes, he has been found. There was really no explanation as to I mean, I didn't dig too hard into it. I didn't go down my Reddit rabbit hole because it was, this was June, I think, but it seemed to me, if I had to guess, he just needed a break from Homegirl and kind of took a little breather. But I want to just show you this, Jack. There are also studies that suggest those who are depressed use I more often than non-depressed in social media writing.
Do you know what? I read something about that this week. And I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist or anything like that. But when someone is depressed, their focus is very much on themselves, for very good reason. The black mood is inside your head. It's not the world around you that is depressing. It's your own self that is depressing. And so your focus when you are depressed is very much around about yourself. You'll also see that with addicts. Their focus is very much on themselves. How do I get my next fix? How am I feeling? What am I doing? And addicts will also, now addicts don't just use the word I, it's a concern for themselves that they have. Whereas I believe in depression, people just talk about themselves more. It's not necessarily a concern for themselves. They're just kind of stuck inside their own heads a little bit. So yes. I was talking to someone about this morning and saying that I think that there is potentially quite a lot that could be done in the medical and therapy sessions around. I'm not saying you could diagnose someone's illness from how they talk, but you could learn as much from the constructs they use and the words they use as the experiences that they are talking about.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And just, I want to point this out, Lobster. I'm sorry, I don't know your gender. How can they begin studying words like you do? I'm really interested in linguistics. Well, first of all, I plugged Jack's channel at Never a Truer Word videos. His videos are so good. But Jack has also written 2 books. I'll just be your PR right now, really fast.
Thank you.
And and his website, you can buy them, neveratruerword.com. It has literally everything. And now, Jack, you should just talk about yourself a little more.
Yes. There are people who do the same things as me. If you watch videos on my YouTube channel, I go over so many of the concepts to use. I think as well, if you just get on Google and Google statement analysis, you will find a whole load of resources. You will find other people who have written books, people who run courses, and so on. If you're really serious about doing it and learning it, I'm kind of self-taught in it. So I've worked with words all my life as a copywriter, a script writer, and so on, and at points as well, a hypnotherapist, which is where I realized I could reverse engineer the positive wordings that I've been using to actually find deception. But there are lots and lots of resources. Some great podcasts where people are interviewed talking about statement analysis as well.
Your podcast.
My podcast. And I mean, that's one of the interesting things that I have never, when I do what I do with you, which is we look at people in the news or that people have been speaking. There are some very good ones where people talk about the skills, talk about how it works, talk about the scientific validation or lack of scientific validation for some of the things that are there. And I think that kind of when I say find your own way, like just grab yourself a website, look at a story where someone's talking and just start questioning every single word that person uses. We hear words every single day. We all know what we mean. We all know the definitions of them and go, oh, why have they chosen that word? Why have they chosen that word? And it become, if you've got a skill for it, and I don't mean like you don't need a deep skill for it, just an aptitude for it, a curiosity about people, you'll start going, oh yeah, I get that. Oh, they haven't answered the question. Right. And it's always the next step. They haven't answered the question. Why haven't they answered the question? What have they said instead of answering the question, and sticking the jigsaw together like that?
Yeah. And something that we talked about, I mean, you see it all the time there, with the Ozempic trend going around, all these celebrities are being accused of using Ozempic, but they don't deny it. They just say, that's crazy. And Armie Hammer, his first interview on this podcast, I'm blanking on it. And he's like, I mean, it's crazy. They called me a cannibal. Where would they come up with that? Like, they called me a cannibal. And you're like, so are you a cannibal or are you not? Because you did not deny it. So it is really crazy once you look at this. And I took like a 6-hour course with Peter Hyatt last summer. And
wow.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible because they were actually helping me. If anybody knows my background, I actually just started in crime a year ago with the Grant Solomon case. That's how I met you. And I had Peter break down the 911 call. If anyone is interested in a deceptive 911 call, it would literally be the 911 call in the Grant Solomon case. And also I did sorry, I don't mean to say deceptive as in, because let me just be clear. There's no suspects in that case. It was ruled an accident. However, the 911 call conclusively is withholding information. We just don't know what that information is. So let me be clear with that. Yeah. The other one, and you might be familiar with this, is the Gary Coleman, the child actor from Different Strokes. Oh my gosh, you would love this. So I have I think I have 2 episodes, or maybe 1 Outlier podcast episode. It's audio only because I just started doing video, but that 911 call, and I had Paul Mayer Day do that one. I don't know if you know him. He's from Truth Unlocked. Gary Coleman's wife, fiance during that call, Jack, it is horrible. Like you have to listen to it. That one is also used for deception. But yeah, Peter told me a story one time about how they had ruled this mother and child as like a suicide, murder-suicide, whatever. But the boyfriend had called 911 and Peter came in, and the first thing that he heard on the 911 call, and the kid was like 6, he said, I walked in and my girlfriend and her kid had killed themselves. And the police just went with that. Like and he was just like, how does the 6-year-old kill himself? Why do you go there? And then sure enough, he killed them both for insurance money. So
yeah, I've got 2 things on that. Number one is just going back to the Grant Solomon case. There's an accident report that was filled out just afterwards. It might have about, I don't know, 20 words in it, but the information you can get from this really sparse, tatty accident report when you actually examine every single word in it is phenomenal. Again, like you said, it's something being withheld. It's not it's not, oh my God, this is what happened. It's, whoa, why is this like this? And yeah, the other thing to go to that 911 call is, again, I firmly believe if the law enforcement had some more skills, and when a 911 call comes in, if they can dispatch an important 911 call, dispatch someone to help out with whatever issue is there, and have someone just going, right, there's stuff being hidden here. This is not right. They could, I'm not saying they'll always be right, but they could direct resources to the right place 99% of the times. The same with missing children. When the parent of a missing child speaks, is this person guilty? Do they know more than they're saying? In which case, stick close to them. Or is this person innocent and this child needs to be found pronto?
No, you're right. And something that I believe you and I have spoken about is anytime a child is missing and a parent thanks law enforcement, that's a red flag. Thank you for
Yeah.
not finding my child. Thank you so much for working so hard to not find my kid, because I did it and I don't want to go to jail. And Disney, thank you so much. This is referring to Grant Solomon. I do have a podcast. It's rough, the first like 10 to 12 episodes, so please forgive me. And literally, no, it is. It's bad.
Oh, no. I was going to say, I used to love listening to that. Now, that sounds like I don't like listening to it anymore, but you just don't make it anymore. So I used to love listening to that because it was a story I didn't know very much about. And it's just a fascinating story with Grant's mum is a lovely, passionate person, and my God, life has dealt her a few knocks, and you would not know it listening to her and listening to her fight, would you?
No, and here's the thing. The only reason I stopped the podcast is generally because I'm here in New York. This is Tennessee. I personally can't do anything else in this case until the accident reconstruction is done, until there's an exhumation of the body, an autopsy. I mean, unfortunately, you know, I could only do so much without being infotaining, I guess. But I do get nervous about that podcast because I was so green. I felt like I was a little fast and loose with my words. And so I have a lot of disclaimers there. But yeah, you feel me. We all got to start somewhere.
I'd highly recommend it as a listen. It's a fascinating story told well.
That's so nice. And like I said, you have to either like my style or not, because I do get called, she's a Valley girl. A Valley girl? That's so original. No, I don't speak cookie cutter, you know, like a reporter would, I guess. And it's funny. Right before Nancy Grace, the producer is always like, Lauren, don't start your sentence with okay, so. So you would get a field day with that. And I have to like write it down, like, don't start to say okay, so. But anyway,
ma'am,
our hour is up. I've got to bring my kids to camp. Jack, you are incredible. Thank you so much. Everybody follow Jack at Never a Truer Word Videos. Go to his website. Follow him on all social media because he does put out these great tidbits of information on a daily basis. So, yes, Jody. Oops, sorry. Yeah, fast and loose, but dizzy. It's horrible. I need to stop. Thank you, Sheila. And don't forget, become a member. Join my channel. It's so fun. I'm going to put together some private content. So, all right, guys. Thanks again. And Jack, have a great day, okay?
Thank you.